Have you ever wondered which BTS member truly has the most captivating voice in the eyes of a global music legend like Chris Martin? The Coldplay frontman once had a surprisingly honest answer, one that emerged from his musical instincts while collaborating with BTS. But who was it? The result might completely catch you off guard. Number 7. The Golden Vocalist Studio Triumph, Jungkook. When Coldplay traveled to South Korea in 2021 to record the historic collaboration track My Universe, the recording booth became a proving ground for an unexpected musical synergy. Chris Martin did not arrive with distant, detached supervision. Instead, he stood directly in the control room acting as an active director and cheerleader for the septet. Among the vocalists, the youngest member experienced a profound moment of professional vulnerability. Entering the recording space, he openly admitted to feeling the immense weight of the moment, comparing the anxiety to his 2013 debut days, terrified that he might misinterpret or ruin the British rock legend's vision. The reality of the session, however, shifted instantly once the microphone turned on. The young vocalist delivered a flawlessly executed performance of his verses, entirely in his native language. Upon hearing the playback, Chris Martin stopped the session to address the translator with absolute clarity, explicitly requesting, "Please tell JK he's so impressive." This specific, unprompted declaration from a 7-time Grammy winner solidified a deep artistic respect that went far beyond basic courtesy. Martin was so captivated by the execution that he later took to major Western platforms, including The Kelly Clarkson Show, where he performed the song acoustically and deliberately sang those exact Korean verses written for the group's youngest member. The praise was not rooted in superficial K-pop mechanics or fandom metrics, but in pure, raw vocal efficiency and the ability to convey profound emotional depth under pressure. Martin openly marveled at how a group of brothers from outside the Western Hemisphere could command such precise vocal control while carrying a universal message of global togetherness. This direct studio validation proved that the youngest vocalist did not just fit into the track, but actively redefined what a cross-cultural rock collaboration could achieve. To this day, that studio interaction remains a definitive benchmark of international musical respect, but the story takes a much more dramatic turn when we look at how Chris Martin chose to honor another specific voice with a legendary personal gift. Number 6. The Cosmic Gift and Deep Artistic Kinship, Jimin. The deep-seated musical relationship between the oldest member of the South Korean septet and the Coldplay frontman reached its ultimate peak through a historic exchange of mutual respect that went far beyond typical music industry pleasantries. During the high-profile promotions for their 2021 collaborative anthem My Universe in New York, the two artists engaged in a profound dressing room conversation that would permanently alter their artistic bond. The vocalist, renowned for his distinct, emotionally resonant belting technique and stable wide range, casually expressed his immense admiration for the iconic acoustic guitar that Chris Martin had been playing for nearly a decade, a specific instrument that had become a visual staple of Coldplay's global stadium tours. Without a single moment of hesitation, the legendary British rocker decided on the spot to gift his prized personal guitar directly to him, signing it with a heartfelt inscription addressing him by his affectionate nickname Worldwide Handsome. This unprecedented gesture shocked the recipient, who initially questioned whether he could truly accept an item of such immense personal, historical, and sentimental value to a rock icon. Martin, however, insisted with total sincerity, stating that the instrument rightfully belonged to him because his unique vocal contribution and artistic dedication to their collaborative project had deeply touched his heart. The artistic synergy did not conclude with this monumental material gift, rather, it evolved into a powerful creative partnership that culminated in late 2022. When the time came for the vocalist to prepare for his mandatory South Korean military enlistment, he reached out to the rock frontman for a song that could serve as a temporary farewell and a comforting message to millions of fans worldwide. In response to this vulnerable request, Chris Martin and Coldplay co-wrote and co-produced the cinematic pop-rock masterpiece, The Astronaut, custom tailoring the track to perfectly complement the vocalist's specific silver-toned vocal texture and rich low-to-mid register. The collaborative process was deeply intimate, with Martin even contributing background vocals and flying across the globe to Argentina just to perform the track live alongside him during Coldplay's massive Music of the Spheres stadium tour at the River Plate Stadium in Buenos Aires. This monumental live performance showcased a profound vocal stability that completely mesmerized the rock frontman, who publicly lauded the vocalist's ability to command a massive stadium crowd with nothing but his raw, unadulterated vocal tone and genuine emotional vulnerability. The sheer weight of this artistic brotherhood established a new standard for Western and Eastern musical collaborations, illustrating how a veteran rock legend could see a kindred spirit in a pop vocalist from across the globe. Yet, as deep as this specific creative kinship ran, it was another member's entirely unique vocal texture that sparked an entirely different kind of creative fascination within Chris Martin's experimental musical mind. Number 5. The soulful resonance and timbre of Gold, V. The intricate vocal chemistry between the iconic Coldplay frontman and the distinct baritone vocalist of the South Korean group represents one of the most fascinating artistic intersection points in modern pop history. From the absolute genesis of the My Universe project, Chris Martin was openly searching for a sonic element that could ground the track's high-energy, celestial pop-rock production with a deep, earthy human warmth. When the vocal tracks were meticulously laid down in the Seoul studio, it was the specific, smoky, and soul-stirring lower register of this particular member that immediately caught the veteran British rocker's undivided attention. Unlike the traditional high-pitched vocal styling that frequently dominates the contemporary global pop landscape, this vocalist possesses a rare, rich baritone texture that can effortlessly dip into deep, velvety low notes while maintaining an incredibly crisp, resonant clarity. Martin, who has spent over 2 decades directing complex vocal arrangements for Coldplay, immediately recognized that this unique vocal color was the exact anchor the song required to balance its soaring electronic synths and anthemic melodies. During the intensive mixing and production phases of the track, Martin deliberately ensured that this deep vocal texture was given a prominent, unfiltered space in the arrangement, allowing the raw, natural rasp and emotional weight of the voice to shine through with absolute clarity. This artistic decision was rooted in a profound mutual respect. Martin has repeatedly expressed a deep-seated admiration for vocalists who can convey immense narrative depth and vulnerability without relying on superficial vocal gymnastics or excessive studio pitch correction. The fascination only deepened during their joint live appearances, most notably their high-stakes collaborative performance at the 2021 American Music Awards, where the live vocal blend between Martin's classic indie rock belt and the member's deep, steady, and remarkably stable baritone created a stunning sonic contrast that completely captivated music critics and casual viewers alike. Martin's visible, joyful reactions on stage whenever this specific vocal section hit were entirely unscripted, serving as a genuine public validation of the member's immense musical identity and stage presence. This specific vocal partnership proved that a truly great voice does not need to hit the highest notes to leave an indelible mark on a legendary songwriter, but rather needs the soul, control, and character to make a stadium-sized anthem feel intensely personal. While this rich, soulful baritone provided the track with its essential emotional grounding, it was yet another vocalist's fierce, high-energy versatility that completely shattered Chris Martin's expectations of what a modern pop performer could execute. Number 4. The high-note architecture and studio precision, Jimin. The intricate sonic architecture of the collaborative anthem My Universe demanded a high-register counterweight to balance its deep acoustic foundations, and it was this specific vocalist's ethereal falsetto and sharp, piercing vocal delivery that completely captured the creative imagination of Chris Martin. As a veteran songwriter who has spent decades exploring the upper limits of his own vocal register, Martin possesses an incredibly acute ear for singers who can execute demanding, high-pitched top lines without sacrificing structural stability or emotional resonance. In the intensive studio sessions, the unique vocal color of this member, characterized by an otherworldly, almost androgynous countertenor quality, became an invaluable tool for the British rock legend. Martin did not merely view him as a standard pop singer executing pre-written lines. Instead, he treated his voice as a distinct, specialized instrument capable of cutting straight through a dense, stadium-level electronic and rock production. During the meticulous vocal tracking process, Martin was visibly captivated by the sheer ease with which the vocalist could transition from a smooth, breathy mid-range into a razor-sharp, soaring high note that added a layer of celestial urgency to the track's chorus. This high-pitched precision was not a product of digital alteration, but a testament to years of rigorous vocal discipline, a fact that Martin openly celebrated in behind-the-scenes recording footage where he could be seen smiling broadly and mimicking the high notes with pure artistic joy. The veteran frontman recognized that the emotional peak of the track relied heavily on these bright, soaring vocal frequencies to convey a sense of cosmic hope and defiance against all odds. Beyond the technical studio execution, Martin's immense respect for this specific vocal contribution was made undeniably clear during their energetic live performance at the 2021 American Music Awards, where the live vocal separation showed the member delivering his high register lines flawlessly amidst a chaotic, high-energy stage environment. Martin's immediate, enthusiastic physical reaction on stage, frequently turning directly toward the vocalist to exchange triumphant smiles, solidified a deep professional validation that resonated far beyond the boundaries of a typical studio session. This striking display of high-note mastery proved that vocal power is not just about raw volume, but about the precise emotional texture and frequency a singer can inject into a global melody. However, while this soaring, high-register brilliance provided the track with its essential cosmic lift, it was the raw, foundational rhythmic poetry of the group's leadership that anchored the entire global project from its very conception. Number 3. The Rhythmic Architecture and Group Foundation, RM. The true genesis of the historic collaboration between Coldplay and the South Korean septet did not emerge from a boardroom of music executives, but from a profound mutual respect for a specific structural leadership and songwriting philosophy that this particular artist embodies. When Chris Martin first conceptualized the framework of My Universe, he was not merely seeking standard pop vocalists to fill pre-arranged melodic gaps, he was looking for a distinct intellectual and musical anchor capable of bridging the deep cultural and linguistic divides between Western rock and Eastern pop poetry. As the main leader, chief lyricist, and foundational rapper of the group, this member became the primary conduit through which the entire collaboration was filtered. Martin, who has spent over 2 decades navigating the complex internal dynamics of one of the world's biggest rock bands, immediately recognized a kindred spirit in this South Korean artist's meticulous approach to track composition and thematic depth. During the intensive preparation phases, the leader took on the massive responsibility of translating and adapting Martin's original conceptual lyrics into deeply poetic Korean verses that retained their raw emotional weight without losing their rhythmic cadence. When Chris Martin arrived in Seoul for the high-stakes studio sessions, he spent hours working directly alongside the leader, analyzing the precise syllable placement and phonetic flow of the rap segments. Martin was visibly astonished by the artist's deep, authoritative vocal tone and his innate ability to deliver a complex, fast-paced rhythmic cadence that integrated seamlessly with a driving indie pop rock drumbeat. This was not a superficial guest feature meant to drive streaming metrics. Martin explicitly ensured that the leader's profound, grounded vocal presence formed the literal backbone of the song's bridge and verses, creating a powerful sonic contrast with Coldplay's melodic instrumentation. Behind the scenes, Martin openly lauded the leader's visionary mindset, expressing immense admiration for how he maintained the group's artistic integrity and distinct identity while steering a massive global project under intense international scrutiny. The mutual respect culminated during their joint address at the United Nations General Assembly and their high-profile live performances, where Martin deliberately stepped back to let the leader's commanding voice and articulate message take center stage. This profound partnership proved that true musical excellence requires a visionary architect to establish the structural foundation before a melody can truly touch the world. Yet, as vital as this grounded rhythmic architecture was to the track's success, it was another member's explosive energy and flawless multi-tonal versatility that brought an entirely new level of dynamic life to the studio session. Number 2. The dynamic catalyst and rhythmic precision, J-Hope. The explosive creative energy that defined the studio sessions for My Universe reached its absolute turning point when this specific artist stepped up to the microphone, completely altering the rhythmic trajectory of the track and leaving an indelible impression on Chris Martin's musical sensibilities. As a visionary performer known globally for his impeccable sense of rhythm, flawless timing, and unique ability to blend sharp, percussive rap deliveries with melodic, smooth vocal undertones, he brought a totally fresh, dynamic dimension to the collaboration that the Coldplay frontman had not fully anticipated. Chris Martin, who has spent decades orchestrating complex indie rock and alternative pop arrangements, was acutely aware that introducing a high-energy rap bridge into a melodic stadium rock anthem was a high-stakes sonic gamble that required absolute precision to execute without disrupting the song's emotional flow. The moment the artist began tracking his verses in the Seoul studio, any lingering doubts vanished instantly as he delivered his lines with a fierce, unmistakable charisma and a remarkably stable vocal control that rode the wave of the instrumental beat with total authority. Martin was visibly transfixed in the control room, his face lighting up with genuine, unscripted awe as he watched the artist manipulate his vocal tone, shifting effortlessly from a gritty, low-register rhythmic cadence into a bright, expressive, and highly melodic vocal delivery that injected a surge of pure, unfiltered adrenaline straight into the heart of the track. This was far from a standard, mechanical recording session. It was a masterclass in musical versatility, with the artist actively contributing to the vocal arrangement by layering intricate, highly synchronized background harmonies and ad-libs that gave the entire song a multi-dimensional, cinematic depth. Martin was so deeply thoroughly impressed by this display of pure artistic instinct and absolute professionalism that he repeatedly singled out the performance during behind-the-scenes interviews, marveling at the artist's innate ability to convey profound joy, defiance, and raw emotional power through a precisely metered vocal rhythm. During their high-profile live performances, most notably the electrifying showcase at the 2021 American Music Awards, the sheer magnitude of this vocal chemistry was laid bare for the entire world to see, as the artist bounded across the stage with an unstoppable presence, executing his complex lines flawlessly live without skipping a single beat or losing an ounce of pitch stability. Martin's enthusiastic reactions on stage, frequently dancing alongside him and matching his explosive energy, served as a definitive, public validation of the artist's status as a top-tier musical catalyst who could seamlessly bridge the gap between heavy hip-hop rhythms and stadium-sized rock melodies. This brilliant display of dynamic vocal architecture proved that a truly exceptional artist does not merely adapt to a legendary songwriter's vision, but actively elevates it, transforming a great studio track into a timeless, high-energy global anthem. While this explosive, multi-tonal rhythmic versatility provided the collaboration with its ultimate peak of dynamic adrenaline, it was the final, deeply soulful, and completely unparalleled vocal performance of one remaining member that ultimately stole Chris Martin's heart and earned the absolute highest praise as the definitive vocal standout of the entire historic project. Number 1. The artistic metamorphosis and supreme vocal mastery, Suga. The absolute pinnacle of Chris Martin's profound musical admiration during the historic creation of My Universe culminated in an entirely unexpected, deeply intellectual reverence for the group's most enigmatic sonic architect and fiercely independent vocal powerhouse. When Coldplay first embarked on this cross-cultural sonic experiment, Chris Martin was not merely looking for conventional pop vocalists to execute pre-written commercial hooks, he was actively searching for an authentic, deeply grounded artistic force capable of injecting raw, unadulterated human grit and philosophical complexity into a soaring celestial melody. The moment this specific artist entered the creative equation, the entire structural blueprint of the track underwent a radical, permanent transformation that completely shattered Martin's pre-existing expectations of what a contemporary pop collaboration could achieve. Renowned globally for his razor-sharp, lightning-fast rhythmic delivery, profound lyrical introspection, and a distinct, gravelly vocal tone that carries an immense, palpable emotional weight, this member approached the studio session not just as a performing vocalist, but as a top-tier producer and master storyteller. Chris Martin, who has spent over 25 years steering the complex sonic identity of Coldplay through various experimental rock landscapes, was instantly captivated by the artist's highly analytical, fiercely precise approach to vocal tracking and syllable cadence. Instead of delivering a standard, high-energy commercial verse, the artist delivered a masterfully calculated, emotionally charged vocal performance that blended intense, rapid-fire percussive rap with a deeply melodic, hauntingly resonant low to mid-register delivery that provided the entire global anthem with its ultimate emotional anchor. In the intensive environment of the Seoul studio, Martin stood completely transfixed behind the mixing console, his eyes wide with unscripted, genuine awe as he watched the artist manipulate his vocal frequencies with absolute, mathematical precision, shifting effortlessly from a sharp, biting delivery into a smooth, breathy, and incredibly stable poetic flow that gave the track a profound sense of urgency and cinematic depth. This wasn't merely a mechanical recording process, it was a profound meeting of two master musical minds, with Martin openly marveling at how the artist could translate complex, deeply personal themes of resilience, cosmic love, and defiance against societal barriers into a language Martin couldn't natively speak, yet could feel with absolute clarity in his soul. Martin was so profoundly moved by this artistic display that he explicitly insisted on preserving the raw, unfiltered integrity of the artist's distinct vocal texture in the final master mix, ensuring that his deep, raspy, and authoritative voice was placed squarely at the core of the track's most critical transitions. Beyond the walls of the recording studio, this mutual artistic infatuation manifested in an extraordinary, historic gesture of respect when Chris Martin publicly gifted his deeply sentimental, prized acoustic guitar, an instrument that had traveled with him through decades of legendary global stadium tours, proving that he viewed this artist not just as a temporary collaborator, but as a true peer and a visionary musical icon. During their subsequent high-profile live performances, most notably the explosive, critically acclaimed showcase at the 2021 American Music Awards, the sheer weight of this vocal chemistry was laid bare before tens of millions of viewers worldwide, as the artist delivered his lines with a commanding, unshakable stage presence and flawless vocal stability that completely filled the massive arena. Martin's immediate, visceral reaction on stage, frequently turning directly toward him with a look of pure, triumphant exultation and pointing at him as the definitive highlight of the performance, solidified a level of professional validation that few artists in the world ever received from a 7-time Grammy-winning rock legend. This supreme display of vocal and conceptual mastery fundamentally proved that the ultimate voice of the project did not need to conform to traditional Western pop standards, but rather possessed the raw soul, intellectual depth, and uncompromising artistic identity to completely capture the heart of a global rock icon and redefine the boundaries of modern music history.